Today I'll be talking about how to set boundaries in relationships, the keys to master your fate. So that will be my topic today. So happy Mother's Day to everyone that is watching right now. So hope you guys are having a wonderful time, even though we can't go out and have a meal in a lovely restaurant, but we can still have that time with our families, with our children, and with our spouse. We can still celebrate. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers that will be watching this talk. So what are the boundaries? Everyone talks about the boundaries in relationships. What are they? So the boundaries is it means you actually it means you set the path that you want in your life, where you need to go. When it comes to relationship, everyone knows where they want to go. Everyone knows where they see themselves in 5 years. Like it right now is 2021. So I can look at myself in 2026 or 2027, and basically imagine my life, what would be like at that moment. But in order for me to get there, there's something I need to set goals. I need to set boundaries in that relationship. If I see myself in 5 years, there are some things that I need to set. There's a path that I need to take, and that path involves me setting the boundaries that cannot be crossed, boundaries that cannot be violated by other people when they are entering my life. I'm not talking about ego. I'm not talking about you becoming me. I'm not talking about I'm talking about, the boundaries that I'm talking about is the boundaries where you set them up and then you let somebody in. When you set boundaries, you need a room. You need to bring somebody in, that person that you connect with in relationships. It can be your family, your spouse. But when you are setting the boundaries, leave a room for somebody to enter and be able to actually relate to you, be able to connect with you. Some people, they set boundaries, but those boundaries actually, they destroy them, because if I enter your life and those boundaries scares me. Some people set the scary boundaries that it becomes me. It's like an ego. So if you set the boundaries, and some boundaries are strong, some boundaries can be very simple boundaries, and that will give a room for somebody to enter your world. When you enter a relationship, intimacy relationship, if you have set the boundaries, like, this is how I want to be treated, this is the kind of a relationship that I'm looking for as a man, as a woman. Serious relationship requires a path. What do you need to get there? If you are looking for a serious relationship, you want to get married, you want to have children, but what do you need? You need boundaries. You need to create boundaries. That means you can't just let everybody in your life enter your life and take advantage of you. You can't let anyone enter your life and lead you on, even if you see the red flags that this person cannot take me to where I need to go, and you just keep dating them. So you can't do that. So we're gonna talk about one. I've created a few boundaries. So we're gonna start by a physical boundary. What is a physical boundary? Physical boundaries, it means when you meet somebody, you meet your spouse, you have to understand your spouse, they don't owe you anything. If you don't want to physically to have sex with that person, They cannot claim and say you don't care about me. It means you care, but at that moment you don't feel like it. You don't feel doing the physical. You don't feel that they can actually they can do whatever they want with your body. It is your body. You know when you want to do whatever you want. So those boundaries needs to be respected. Depends on open and honesty, depending on basically they need to be respected, but you need to be open. You need to have that honest communication with your spouse. You cannot expect your spouse to actually be a psychic, to guess when you don't want to do whatever they want to do with you. So you're gonna have to be honest. You're gonna have to be open with your spouse. So basically when you meet somebody, we do change, things do change, we do grow. So as you grow, as you actually getting to know that person, and if you feel that there are some changes with you, so you need to communicate properly. You need to communicate with your spouse, and you need to let them know what you are feeling and what you can tolerate, what you cannot tolerate. So then we go to emotional boundaries. Involves separate your feelings. Emotional boundaries, it means you're separating your feelings from the other person's feelings. Basically, you're letting other person detect your own feelings by communicating your feelings. You cannot sacrifice your own needs to please your spouse. That's what emotional boundaries are. Some people, they do. You'll be surprised in relationships. Some people, they do. They sacrifice their own needs to please the other person. So if you have problems, that means emotionally you cannot go and blame somebody else for your problems. If, let's say, the problems are, sometimes the relationships problems can be triggered by your upbringing. It can be triggered by not dealing with problems properly. It can be triggered by so many things. But the good thing about solving problems is you being aware of the cause of the problem without blaming. Emotionally, you without blaming. Some people love to blame. You will be surprised how many people loves to blame other people when things go wrong. So it is your responsibility to accept those problems, to deal with those problems. It is your responsibility to create strong boundaries, protect yourself, protect your self-esteem, protect your identity as the individual. You have a right to make your own choices. You have a right to actually create your own boundaries. I have my own boundaries in my own world. I have my own boundaries. If they want me to fight you, I need to know why am I fighting. But my boundaries are norms. I cannot fight somebody. I need to understand, because sometimes when things go wrong, it's not always the other person. It could be I have triggered that, and for that person to do what they've done. So you need to be aware, instead of blaming, instead of in that relationship, instead of blaming the other person, just deal with the problems without having to blame the other person and taking responsibility. So, and then we come to sexual boundaries. What are sexually boundaries? Sexual boundaries, it means decide what you're comfortable with. What are you comfortable with? You have to know what you like. You have to know the things that you don't like. You have to learn to explore your life, explore your feelings, explore everything about your feelings. Talk to your spouse about what you like. If you want to try something, different things, speak to your spouse. Try different things. If you feel that you want to try whatever you want to try, try it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. That is okay. You don't have to do anything. Like when you meet your spouse, when you meet somebody on a dating, you don't have to do anything that you're not ready to do. You don't have to rush in anything that you are not ready to do. You have to communicate with your spouse. You have to communicate. Oh my God. You have to communicate. Okay. My computer just went blank. I have no idea why it went blank, but it did. So I'm not sure if my video went blank as well. So you just have 2 hours into you don't have to do anything you feel you're not ready to do. In relationships, when you meet someone on a date, you don't have to actually do the things that you don't want to do. You have to decide when you are ready to do whatever you want to do in life. You decide if you want to try something, you don't like it, you can ask your spouse to stop. It is your choice. Everything you do in life, it comes down to choice. You have to agree beforehand. It's all about the communications with your spouse. You have to learn to communicate everything that you do. I'm not sure what is going on here with my video. It keeps going off. So you have to be able to actually communicate with your spouse the things that you want to do and the things that you don't want to do. So we come down to intellectual boundaries. How do we create intellectual boundaries? So intellectual boundaries is basically a beliefs. Somebody needs to understand your beliefs. When you date somebody, you need to understand their beliefs. You need to show respect for their views. Just because they have different views with whatever different from yours, it doesn't mean they are wrong. So you have to be able to actually respect their views and not hurting their feelings. Some people intend, when they have different views, they intend to hurt somebody else, or sometimes they think that the other person is not smart enough, and hurting their feelings by voicing out loud that why don't you understand this, means you're not smart enough. So you have to, that can damage somebody else's feelings, that can damage your emotionally intimacy relationship, because it is a connection. You are together with that person because of the connection that you have with that person. So if you actually hurting their feelings, that means it will require the other person to forgive you. If they are not able to forgive you and they keep those feelings within, that means that relationship can be damaged. So mostly is topics on politics, on all different things. People have different views about things in life. So you have to be aware. It's okay to be different. When you are dating somebody, you don't have to, there are differences that they are fine. When you are dating somebody, there are some differences in relationship that it can actually destroy a relationship. But just because somebody else is into politics, it doesn't mean you cannot date them. It doesn't mean if somebody likes different things, you cannot date them. There are some differences, basically, like I said before, that that you can actually, it means your spouse can go, and if they like watching things or they like doing things different from yours, it means they can go with their friends, enjoy those things. That means when they come back, you both have something to talk about. Or sometimes you yourself, there are different things that you like. I like running, I like sports, and sometimes I go sports on my own. So that means when I come back, I have something to talk about to my spouse. So I'm getting excited. I have lots to talk about. So when somebody is actually talking to you about the things that they like, so you have to give them that time, because you accepted that person, you selected that person and said, I love you, and I love you until I die. Some people, they go actually they get married and they do married vows. They take married vows, and those married vows, they have no meaning. They don't know the meaning of them, because if you don't know the meaning of something, then that means your relationship is not going to work. So that means I love you till. It's what it means. Whatever you do in life, as long you respect me, anything that you love, people grow in relationship, they start loving different things. That means they can go and do the things that they believe in, and you come back, you have a topic to talk about. So that is fine. But if you date somebody who is not a family, or who does not value family beliefs, who does not value families, that means your relationship is not going to work, because that is the strongest belief. Family values is the strongest thing in a relationship. So if you date somebody that does not like family, that does not like people, then that means your relationship is not gonna work. And don't be afraid when you are dating somebody intellectual. Boundaries, it means you put the boundaries for somebody to communicate their views with you. You're allowing them to actually have their own opinion in things, and your response is very, very important. As long you're not hurting somebody. If somebody is talking about, like, I love football, if I'm talking about football with my spouse, it doesn't mean they have to love it, but because they love me, that means they're gonna listen to what I have to say. And that's what I do. You listen to somebody, and instead of calling them names when you're discussing about politics, you're talking about beliefs. So you need to set those boundaries, that the things that you can tolerate and the things that you cannot tolerate as a person. So you set boundaries, and you can disagree to disagree in relationships. Why not? Disagree to disagree. And if you feel that somebody you disagree, somebody don't respect your views, why not communicate with them to let them know that it hurts when they actually not taking you serious about your views. Explain how it's making you feel. Your opinion, explain. And you have to discuss it. And then we come to financial boundaries. Financial boundaries is money. Money destroys relationships. And accounts, joint versus accounts, separate accounts. For me, I keep my money separate. So it's fine to keep money separate when it comes to relationship. Some people have a joint account. You can have a joint account, but I keep my financial affairs separated. That makes life very, very easy. You have a joint account, or where you pay the bills, or you can have an agreement. Everyone has different agreements, different things in relationship, and make sure you both are on the same page when it comes to financial concerns. Having different rules and different agendas when it comes to finances, it will destroy a relationship. So you need to make sure that both of you are on the same page. How you spend your money, it can cause a great strain in relationships. Me, I'm not a shopping person. I shop when it's necessary, so I'm good with money. When it's necessary, I shop. If it's not, I don't need to do shopping if I don't have to. So have the boundaries. If you are fighting about money all the time, you can set up boundaries that are needed based on money, based on your finances, and based on your relationship. I cannot come into your life and tell you this is how you need to set your boundaries when it comes to finances. So you can set everything based on what you guys decide to do. And then we have relational boundaries. This is where you need to be clear about what you actually be clear with your spouse of who you are as a person. Your spouse, they need to know who you are as a person, and you need to be very clear. Some people, they meet people, they actually listen to what they're saying, their character, they create their character that moment because they like it, because they, basically, I like this person, I'm gonna create my character based on what they just said to me. They create their character because they want to fit in. So you need to make sure that you are clear of who you are and what you want in that relationship, your beliefs and your values and your limits, how far things can go. It is very important to be very clear in your relationship. And you can set those boundaries, because when you set your boundaries they have to reflect of who you are and who you want to be. You cannot set boundaries and your character says something else. When you're setting boundaries, your character has to reflect, your image has to reflect of who you say you are as a person. So that means your spouse is not gonna get confused. There are some spouses who are control freaks. So if you feel that you want to date that person, you want to go ahead and date that person as a control freak, you can go ahead and date them if you can see the red flags. So they need to know, your spouse need to know who you really are as a person, what you want in that relationship. So that's what you need to do is actually and also be aware of your spouse's needs. And remember, relationship is both sides. It's not just one side that you say is gonna be all about my boundaries. Understand your spouse's boundaries and make sure that your spouse, everything aligns with what you both want. It aligns with your beliefs, it aligns with your values. Because if your spouse have different things and looking for different things, and you are looking for different things, your relationship is not going to work. So make sure that everything aligns with your both beliefs, and make sure you understand their world as well. Because if you understand their world, then that means you'll be able to fulfill their basic needs, their needs. You'll be able to fulfill your needs as well. They will be able to fulfill your needs. A relationship is all about saving. When you create your boundaries, you're not creating boundaries to all about me. Those boundaries are helping you to save the other person as a queen. They are helping you to save the other person as a king. So that's what the boundary is about. They are not creating the rules. They are not creating to say, oh, I'm gonna be me. It's all about you, the other person, knowing where you want to go and where you want to be in a few years' time. That's all it's about. And then how do you master? And then you master your boundary settings. Now you know your boundaries, and the settings is when you know who you want to be. The settings is trusting your spouse, because when you're setting the boundaries, you trust on the choice. You trust your choices. It is your choices that you have decided that I'm gonna create these boundaries. You have to trust you. You have to trust the person that you have selected to date. You have to connect with that person. You get married and you connect with that person. You don't lose connection. And make sure that your boundaries that you have created, you are allowing the other person to enter your spirit of love, because love requires you to allow the other person for them to be able to save you. It's all about saving the other person. They are coming to save you as their king. They are coming to save you as their king. You have to respect them as well. Respect their views, respect their values, respect their beliefs, and make sure that in those settings there's freedom in your world that your spouse can enjoy. It's all about enjoyment. Even if there's pain, even if the mountains comes your way, the pain comes your way, there's still a freedom for you to actually work on your relationship. But if your boundaries are tough, all of them are tough, and there is no way that your spouse, they start being scared of you, that's no longer a relationship. A spouse, they need to have freedom. They need to be able to relate with you, your world. They need to be able to sympathize with you. They need to be able to get to know you. You need to be aware of the changes, because nothing stays the same. In a relationship, things change. You grow. Your spouse, they grow. You both grow together. So as you're growing, you might have to change things around your boundaries, but you still have the same principles, but changing things around. And the other boundary that is important is having eternal voice. Eternal voice boundary in relationship. It relates to you being fearless, breaking through in that loving, communicating, or not holding anything. When you hold something in that relationship, it means eventually that relationship will lead to breakdown or an outburst, and you will end up cutting that person out of your life completely, because you are ignoring your voice. Some people, they feel that their needs are not necessary in relationships. They feel that for them to actually be in that relationship, is their feelings don't matter, but they do. Because if you feel that my feelings don't matter, as the time goes by, you're just gonna have an outburst. And you're gonna end up blaming the other person, which is you end up cutting them out of your life completely. It is very, very important to understand your eternal voice. When it speaks, you need to listen to your voice within. Some people have lived and not speaking their own truth in relationships. They don't, because they feel that it's not necessary. It's not necessary for them. Some people believe that it's not necessary for them to have a voice. But eternal voice is very, very important when it comes to relationship. It is very, very important for you to actually learn to be fearless, to speak up. Not holding back. Voice your own thoughts, voice your own feelings, your own experiences, and transform your life in your relationship. When you voice your feelings, you voice your experience, it doesn't mean you are actually annoying the other person. It means there's freedom. They've set up the principles for you to have your own voice. So some people believe that their needs and emotional needs, their needs are not important. When you believe that your needs are not important, that can affect your relationship. Have courage to say no. No more to pain. Because when you don't have a voice, if you don't have an eternal voice, that is a pain, that is a struggle. That means you are struggling with something in life. That means that there is something you're struggling with. So you need to have eternal voice. Through the discomfort, your vulnerability. Communicate your vulnerability. If you need space, why not communicate that? You need space. You can practice every day using your fearless voice as many times as you need. Or sometimes you can practice in front of the mirror in order for you to grow stronger and bring out that true authenticity in you. A voice that your spouse can hear it, not the ego. When you have a voice, your spouse can hear it. They can hear your voice. So that's why in God's Talk Show, it says, find your own voice, lead from within. That's what happened when it comes to relationships. You have to be able to be a leader. You have to be able to lead yourself within. When you become a leader within, it means you can speak your own truth. I'm not saying going around and telling people what you think about them and telling people off. I'm not saying that. I'm saying speak your own truth. Knowing who you are as a person, your values, and what you stand for as a person. So it is very, very, very important for you to understand who you are. Understand your values, your beliefs. It's very, very important. But some people, they don't do that. They don't speak their own truth. Speaking your own truth, it means when you don't feel good, you don't feel good. You don't just say when your spouse is saying, how are you? You say, oh, everything is good. You just have to keep expressing how you're feeling, your feelings. And that's for me for today. If you are watching my talk and today or later, you can, if you love the message, please hit some heart button and share some love with everyone else, please. And follow us on YouTube, please. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and live with grace. And God bless you. If you are single and you are looking for love, go to www.hseia.com, Hope Spring Eternal Introduction Agency, and register. You know what? My video is, I don't know what it's doing. It keeps going on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So I have no idea. So yes, you can go and register and share some love. When I receive your application form, we'll get back in touch with you. If you go to our website, and you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Monday to Friday, and we are here at Ngozi Talk Show at 1 p.m. UK time, so you can actually follow us and find your own voice and find some love. And you know, we are united with one voice. We are on lockdown, but we're still united with one voice, which is unconditional love. God bless you, everyone, and live with grace.